Okay, these are your 6 questions for Thursday night homework. There were a lot of people out today, so hopefully you can, if you're doing your homework at home and you don't know what you're doing, you can press pause right now, write down the questions, and then if you want to try and do the answers before that, do it, and then check your answers by pressing on pause. I'll give you the answers right now. So the first question says 4 to the exponent of 5 divided by 4 to the exponent of 2. Solve 2 ways, with BEDMAS and law number 2. So if we solve it with BEDMAS, what we're going to do is we're first going to take both of these powers and put them in standard form. So if I take my calculator here, and go, what is 4xy5, that's 4 exponent 5. It's 1024. Divided by 4 squared, which I know is 16. And if I take that, oopsies, where am I at here? Right there. Sorry, let me grab my calculator here. There's a lot of loss there. So 1024 divided by, what do we say it was? It was 16, equals 64. So if we use BEDMAS to solve this question, we would do our exponents first, then we do our division and multiplication, in this case division, and we get our standard form answer 64. If we use Law 4 says when you have division of 2 powers that have the same base, keep the base and subtract your exponents, which will give us 4 cubed, which in standard form, you guessed it, is 64. If you don't believe me, just take your calculator, go 4xy3, and it's 64. So there's question 1 done using both BEDMAS and law number 2, and you get the same answer. Our second question gives us this and says solve using BEDMAS and law number 1. So BEDMAS, if I go 2 to the exponent of 10, that's 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024. If I did that right, let's just go back and check that with the calculator. 2 xy10 equals 1024. Multiplied by 2 cubed, which we know to be 8. Move this over a little bit more here. And then 1024 times 8, I'll multiply that by 8 using BEDMAS. It's 8,192 in standard form. So using BEDMAS, solve the exponents first, then multiply them together, 8,192. If I solve it using law number 1, the law says if you have the multiplication of 2 powers with the same base, you can keep the base and add your exponents, which would be 2 to the power 13, which if I go into my calculator and say, what is 2 xy13? It says 8,192. Again, solved differently, both answers the same. Our third question gives us a power to an exponent. If I solve it using BEDMAS, I would then say, okay, let me just write down BEDMAS. Brackets first. So this is brackets. Inside the brackets, I can simplify something. 2 cubed is 3 times, or 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. So I've solved that using BEDMAS. Now I have exponents next. 27 cubed is a way bigger number than I'm capable of doing in my head. So 27 times 27 times 27 is 19,683 in standard form. So again, BEDMAS, solve your brackets. I got 27. Have an exponent of 3. 27 cubed will be 19,683. And then when we do law number 2, it says when you have a power to an exponent, keep the base inside the bracket and multiply your exponents, which will be 3 to the exponent of 9. And guess what? If I put 3 to the exponent of 9, 3 to the exponent of 9, it is 19,683. Our next question is law number 4, which says when you have the product of numbers in a bracket to an exponent, you can apply that exponent to both parts of your product if you want, or you can solve it using BEDMAS. We'll solve with BEDMAS first. So when we have 4 times 5 squared, solving BEDMAS, we'll do brackets first to get 20 squared. And we all know 20 squared because we solved it in the last chapter, in chapter 2. 20 times 20 is 400. So in standard form, 20 squared will be 400 when I solve it with BEDMAS. When I solve it with law number 4, I can take my exponent of 2 and allocate it to each part, give me the answer of 4 squared times 5 squared, or 16 times 25. And you guessed it, 16 times 25, you probably know the answer. 16 times 25 is 400. there is law number 4, exemplar. Law number 5, same idea, except this time instead of using multiplication, we're using division. We can do it 3 different ways. We can do it as bed math. So if I go 4 divided by 5 cubed. 4 divided by 5, I know it to be 0.8 because I kind of know my divisions of whole numbers that are a single digit. But if you didn't, you go 4 divided by 5. It tells you 0.8. And then 0.8 cubed, if I take that and say, okay, what is 0.8 xy cubed? Or 0.8 times 0.8 times 0.8? It is 0.512 in standard form. If I use law 5 and I take my question, I can allocate the 3 to both parts of my quotient. I will get 4 cubed divided by 5 cubed, because both parts of that quotient can be given the exponent of 3. 4 cubed is 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. When I solve it in exponential form, standard form. And then finally, 64 divided by 125 is, sorry, I got a call there, but 64 divided by 125 is also 0.512. And again, if you think about 4 divided by 5 as a fraction, we have learned that 4 divided by 5 actually can be expressed as a fraction, 4 divided by 5. And if we think of it this way, the rule says you can simply apply your exponent of 3 to both, just like we did here, to the numerator and denominator, giving you a fraction form of 4 cubed divided by 5 cubed, which when we solve it as a fraction will be 64 over 125 as a fraction, which if you wanted to change to a decimal, which you don't have to, because we do know what 64 divided by 125 is, it would be that. And our last question just gives us that exponent of 0 plus 1 to the power of 3. So really what we're asking, actually I probably should have added another part, but that's okay. You know what, I'm going to right now. I can. Plus 4 to the exponent of 1. There, that's what I should have given you for homework. If you watch the video, just change it to that. Law number 6 says any power to the exponent of 0 will always have a standard form of 1. And then the second one, 1 cubed is 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. And 4 to the exponent of 1. Any power, any base to an exponent of 1 is the base itself. In this case, 4. So 1 plus 1 plus 4. Your answer will be 6. If you didn't get this in time, your answer was 2 to the original question. And the answer is 6 to the modified.